You are listening to the default audio track, which includes instructional narrative. To turn off this audio track, simply press the audio button on your DVD remote, press it again to turn off the music, and listen to just sounds of the ride. Welcome to beautiful Indian, Alaska. We're on the scenic Indian Girdwood bike trail and accompanied by the Dirt Divas, a local mountain biking group out in Anchorage. And we're just going to kind of take a little easy, mellow ride here. Great recovery workout. Awesome for burning fat calories, and we're going to talk a lot about nutrition and fitness today. So I'm sitting here with two colleagues, Lee and Heather, both professional fitness and nutrition trainers. Hi Lee, hi Heather.
Hey there.
Hi.
We're going to talk to them in a little bit. First, I want to acclimate everybody to the dashboard and help with the following the workout objectives here. Right now, we got a rolly path here, and so we're going to shift into a little bit bigger gear. And then, as we come over the top, we're going to bring that gear down. We're at a 3, 2, 1. We're in our easiest gear. A 1 out of 10, pedaling at a cadence of 80 RPM. Now we're going to bring the resistance up, 2, 3, 4, 5, and back down. And here's another hill right in front of us, and 4, 5, and back down, 3, 2, 1, and we're in our easiest gear, a low resistance, and we're just cruising along here. So on the right-hand side of the screen there, you can see the gear ratio showing a 42-1, meaning you're at your easiest gearing, easiest pedaling gearing. And we're going to go up here, 3, 4. So now we just shifted 4 up in the back, and now we're bringing it down just 1, and just keeping that cadence about 70, 80 RPM, which you'll see on the bottom left of the screen in the white box. 2, 1, nice easy gear. We're going to let some people pass us up here and get to know them as we work our way from the back of the group to the front of the group. You notice on the left of the screen our heart rate is at 62%. That's our percentage of max heart rate. And right now we're in the fat burning zone, so we're really not working very hard. We can talk very easily, and it's casual, it feels nice, feels comfortable. And we'll just hang back here and let these folks come past us. Well, Lee and Heather and Cherry and I are riding right along with you, following the workout objectives. So when you're working hard, we're working hard, and when you're taking it easy, we're taking it easy. So we'll be trying to match the intensity of the workout here with you. So if you hear us breathing hard, then you're probably breathing hard, or at least you should be. See another little hill ahead? Is it? No, we're just cruising right along here.
Nice and recharged from that fish taco.
You're going to see up ahead here, there's our hill. A little water bottle flash, take a drink. Got a little hill here, so Let's bring that resistance up. And big ring up front. 7 out of 10. We're feeling a steep little climb here. It's short, but I want you to really push down on those pedals. 9 out of 10. Bring it down. 7 out of 10 on the resistance.
But they moved the location, but
Getting that heart rate up. 75%. And a small ring up front. Bringing the resistance down. 4, 3, 2 out of 10. And our heart rate should be mid 70s, close to 80% of max, if you did it right. Bringing that resistance up just a couple of clicks. We're gonna just catch up to the next rider and have a little conversation with her. Talk about her big bike.
29er, huh? 29er.
Now there's a new feature on the
Yeah, it's a big
dashboard
bike.
I want to put your or focus your attention on. That's the RPE value right above the power. So on the very left bottom of the screen, see a 12, and above that is an RPE of 3. And that's our perceived exertion level. And that's basically just how hard it feels like we're working. So right now, we're at a 3 out of 10. A 1 out of 10 is really easy. Feel like you could probably take a nap. And a 10 out of 10 is about as hard as you can get, and you just feel like you're gonna die. So anything in between is subjective. We got a nice little descent here. Looking off to the right, that's the beautiful Turnagain Arm. And the Chugach Range, I believe is what that's called, that mountain range out there. Very pretty. So if it says the cadence at 0, which it is right now, you can choose to coast, not pedal, or just do a nice soft pedal. I prefer soft pedaling through any parts of the workout that say 0. And just keep your cadence around 70. If you're on a spin bike, it's really hard to stop pedaling, so don't stop pedaling. Just roll through it. Just take all that resistance off and keep it real easy on your legs. And catch up to the group here. Well, this is a good time to bring my guests in, Heather, Lee. Well, first, Heather, can you tell me a little bit about your company, and actually tell me a little bit about what you do and your qualifications with respect to nutritional training or nutrition.
Sure.
Get more front in the mic. Don't be so far off to the side.
Okay.
So that's why it's yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Sure. My name's Heather Terry, and I'm a registered dietitian. So Lee does the training part of our business, and I really do more of the nutrition. Really, start with just learning a lot about the client and goal management and sitting down and talking about what nutritional benefits and goals can we accomplish. Where Lee does a lot of the sit down with the training. Lee, do you want to chat about that?
Yeah, I have a website. It's called inhome-personaltrainer.com, and it's a hub for, I think, relative information to building a overall just a body that can withstand a lot of different types of exercise. So from injury prevention to performance enhancement, I've really dealt with a lot of clients in between. What I like most about it is exercise is adaptable to, I think, everybody. From geriatrics, from moving and stretching, to athletes that want to be able to have that extra edge. I really appreciate how exercise, and most importantly, strength and conditioning, with the plan in mind, really works to enhance the body without damaging it. So that's what I do. I feel like I'm more than a personal trainer just because I have a well-versed set of skills and tools that I've worked with over 15 years. But the main part is I keep it simple and suggestive and flexible, meaning I keep it simple to follow and understand, suggestive, meaning there's variations to things that we do that will apply well to your specific health risks or limitations, and being flexible to allow for just life to play its part. So not being compulsive about exercise, but developing a very good relationship with it is the primary goal. It's showing you how there's so many different ways to approach it.
Well, that's a really good point, because I mean, if you're working out, exercising, trying to start making it a lifestyle, it's important to find out what that balance is, as far as how hard you should be working on a daily basis, and what you should be eating too. I want to focus this workout a little bit, or this conversation a little bit, on basically working out to lose weight, and using specifically nutritional components of the workout in order to accomplish that. Because usually if you're just doing one or the other, if you're just taking nutrition all by itself and modifying that to try to accomplish weight loss, that's one thing. Or if you're just just working out to accomplish another goal, that's another thing. But combining the two is a pretty complex thing.
Oh, absolutely agree. Right. It's easy just to do, well, not really easy to do any of it, but easier to just do one for life, but to do both and to really incorporate into your lifestyle. Much more challenging.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to it than just, feeling like you're eating right and exercising right. It has to be adaptable in life, or we just set ourselves up to fail.
Yeah. So how long have you guys been doing this? How long have you been in the business of fitness and nutrition?
Well, in Denver, 10 years. Before that, I was in Arizona. I've worked as a strength and conditioning coach at the collegiate level. I've worked with my share of professional athletes, from football to basketball, track and field, cycling. I've had a lot of different experience. Post-rehabilitation, geriatric flexibility, and community outreach. So it's been a really great journey.
Right. We started our business about 10 years ago. I began work as a dietitian in a weight loss clinic where we saw lots of extreme obese patients. And about 5 years ago, I went completely on my own as private, along with Lee, working more with individuals, anywhere from 10, 20 pounds to lose all the way to 200. So
You guys must have some stories.
Oh, absolutely.
It makes Denver conversation, a little interesting.
Well, when they wrote it,
But everybody
3 years
has
ago,
a different
it was
journey,
perfect.
and I think,
Yeah, I don't think it's very old.
I don't know, I believe in the things that I've learned and the things that I continue to learn.
Was it Rails to Trails, or was
I
it
really
the
think
old
that people
highway?
grapple onto those things when you're consistent.
Yeah.
And for us, people that need accountability and to be motivated, that's where we set in. But we really try to stay up on cutting edge stuff, research, development, and just evolving our business. What we started with 10 years ago is not the same as what's going on for us now.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Any good business, right? Makes changes.
That's right. So we were talking about, Sherry and Heather and I were, I'm sorry.
That's what people do it all the time.
Heather and Lee.
Call me Heather, call me Cherry.
No.
Cherry, it's all right.
Heather and Lee and I were sitting down. We had a really cool conversation before we put this together. But I really liked the way we were able to talk about combining nutrition with exercise. Well, let's start with a little bit with the nutritional component. Heather, what is probably, let's start with the most common mistake that people make when they're trying to diet and exercise at the same time.
Okay. Probably the most common is just going too hard with too much of a weight loss goal. They want to lose 5 pounds a week, like Biggest Loser or something like that. And when you're really trying to change your lifestyle for total fitness, you need to nourish that. You need to nourish your body for those goals. 1 to 2 pounds a week really is the most that we try to shoot for. And that's because a pound of body fat has 3,500 calories in it. And 1 pound of weight loss a week equates to 500 calories a day. That's a lot. That's 500 calories that you're burning, or 500 calories that you're not eating, or a combination of both. So to lose 2 pounds, that's 1,000 calories a day, every day. That's where we get those goals from.
So, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but are you basically saying that you'd have to create a deficiency of between 5 to 1,000 calories per day to lose a pound to 2 a day?
That is absolutely correct. Okay. Yes. That's
so
correct.
You have to be a negative of what your body is used to, of almost what is that, like 2 full meals to lose 2 pounds a day?
Depending on the
size
depending
of
on
your
the person, yes.
I'm just assuming 1,000 calories per meal.
1,000 calories again would be 2 pounds a week, so that's as much as we would hope for. So when you're combining exercise, you're going to be burning some of those calories, so that can be very helpful. But it usually increases your appetite also. So we want to be careful about the balance again of what we're doing, and often that's a problem all in itself. Is people don't have a good balance of macronutrients, carbohydrate, protein, and fat. They tend to do whatever the latest thing is, the latest fad diet is. We were talking about right before we started that right now in the last decade too, it's been this low carb craze, and that's really challenging when you talk about cycling or any kind of activity to keep your energy levels up. And so it's really beneficial to have a good balance. If there was a take-home today, it's, have a good balance and have a good plan with nutrition for your goals. And if your goal is weight loss, we do want to cut back on your total calorie consumption for the day, but there's a smarter way to do that than just cutting out a food group or just cutting out meals. Those are probably the 2 most common things that people do.
Okay. So either, and that's a common thing, would you consider that to be a mistake as well?
Yes.
Okay.
I think people who feel like they have weight to lose justify not eating because they don't need the calories, but that's not a smart way to set up your day for success, because you get too hungry as the day goes. And even if you don't feel hungry, because that's a comment I get from people a lot, they say, well, I'm not hungry, so don't eat. Well, it comes back with vengeance if you don't stay on top of it. You want to think of small meals often. So frequent meals and small meals.
We talked also a little bit about a lot of what you're saying is like the fad diet, the low carb diet, and just eating all protein or protein rich, I guess, meals. There's a benefit to protein and carbohydrates, but I think a lot of people are losing focus of what the benefit to eating carbs are versus protein, and because of the fats. Do you mind going into that just a little bit?
Sure. Again, balance is what we're looking for.
Right. I know you mentioned that
a few times, and I'll probably it's annoying. I'll probably keep talking about it. But you do want to have. Carbohydrate is your fast-acting fuel. All right. So quickly, carbohydrate. We're talking about grain. We're talking about fruit. Anything from carbohydrate is going to be broken down into sugar. And when you're cycling or running or doing any kind of endurance training, that's the main fuel that you're burning quickly. When you pop up on your bike, you're burning the carbohydrate. it is at a little bit higher intensity exercise. You do burn more of that.
Right.
So you want to be able to eat carbohydrate to be able to accomplish that when you're cycling.
Right.
Protein is your duration food. So
Beautiful.
you get
There you are.
you get more energy out of it, or you feel like you get more energy out of it.
I didn't even notice that
You
I
can
was
go a little
kinda
longer
fast earlier.
without eating when you eat carbohydrate, even though we still want to eat frequently. About 20% of protein. 20% of protein is converted into carbohydrate or into sugar. So you do get some sustainability out of protein itself. But before an exercise, you do want to eat. You want to make sure you eat. We talked a little bit about this before too. And you do want to make sure that you do have some carbohydrate, because that's going to be your blood sugar when you're on your ride.
Yeah, and right now we're cruising along at about 65% of our maximum heart rate. So we're probably burning 50% sugars, 50% fats, or 50% carbs, 50% fats. Is that about right? That's about right.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's about right. Part of it is time too. When you're cycling or riding, it takes a certain amount of time before you really start converting into burning more of your fat. Ultimately, you're going to just burn total calories. So sometimes that's what matters if you don't have the time. But if you do have the time and you can go longer, then the slightly lower intensity exercise, you're going to burn more carbohydrate.
Over the long run.
More fat.
Or more fat.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you burn more calories over the course of a longer bike ride, but ultimately your target is to burn fat with the lower intensities, because your metabolic rate dictates what you're burning, either carbs or sugars or fats, based on your intensity, how much oxygen your body is using. That's my understanding.
No,
of it.
that's correct. That's correct.
But they'll also, I know in fitness, they'll throw in interval training for
Yeah.
weight loss. And that also is effective. But what they're doing is they're manipulating the variables of intensity and volume. And when you're talking about truly weight loss, you're better off going longer periods of time at shorter intensity. You can throw in intervals, and that does help. But for the most part, 95% of the time, you're just keeping it slow and steady.
Right. Well, and it might bring up an interesting point, Lee, is that if you're if you want to work out at any intensity, I mean, you need that fuel, you need the carbohydrates, and you need both your long-term and short-term fuels, I guess.
I understand.
I'm trying to figure out how to phrase my question here. Sorry.
Well, I think I know where you're going.
Go ahead.
But it's all built on efficiency, and it's like you train yourself on the bike. You got to train yourself to eat frequently, eat balanced, and support what you're doing. So if it's performance-based, you have to have a foundation of nutrition that's consistent with that. I know Heather likes this phrase. If you're looking to lose weight through nutrition, specifically, and eat like, the pounds you want to be. So if you want to be 120 pounds, then eat like you're 120 pounds. But you got to be frequent. You got to be consistent and accountable. No cheat days.
What does that mean, Heather? You eat like you're 120 pounds.
Sure, we just mean you don't have to restrict your calories so great that you feel like you're on a diet. If you just say, I'm going to eat like the person that's maintaining this lower weight and have that lifestyle with exercise and sleep and water and all of the above, it's just a matter of time before you are that person. It might take a little longer than if you really restricted it, but ultimately,
So what's the name
it is a calorie game, and you can get down there. We really promote just permanent lifestyle change, and I think to do that, it has to be sustainable.
That's right.
Especially when you talk about being an athlete or being athletic, because you can't sustain a 2-hour ride if you're not eating anything.
Right. Well, and that's kind of I think that's the point I was driving at a little bit too, Lee, was that, you need that energy if you want to work, sustain your workouts.
Right.
For a, longer period of time. If you want the benefit of burning more body fat, you need to have the energy to sustain that activity.
Yeah, you got to set yourself up right.
Right. So we spoke earlier about, again, making sure that you start your activity with some fuel in the fire. Make sure that you eat before you go out, or at least try to. In my experience, some people really can't tolerate anything before they work out, but most people do better if they have something before they get on the bike. And you can think of it as you have a more effective workout if you have some energy ready to use right then and there.
Yeah, it's true. I agree with that completely. And I think you have to be patient with that too, because if it's something you're trying for the first time, just like exercise, all these things are very similar in our experience and application, but you have to be patient with the adaptations that occur. And one huge thing that has resonated, I think, deeply with a lot of my clients is understanding it's not a process of annihilating your body, but stimulating it to adapt to the things that you physically want to do, and ultimately how you look and feel.
And since we're on the subject of longevity, eating the right foods to sustain your workout. You mentioned before, Heather, that your body responds to working out not just necessarily in one steady stretch. I mean, for example, this is a 2-hour video. In order to really burn the fat calories that you want to burn, I mean, do you need to do the full hours, or can you break it into segments throughout the day and get the same benefit?
Right.
Well, research right now is telling us that you have the same heart benefit by doing smaller segments as long as your the length of segment is over 10 minutes. So you have the same cardiovascular benefit if you had all these 10-minute segments versus just having one big long one. When we talk about weight loss, I mean, there's benefits really for both. I mean, you have that one bout of long exercise, and you're probably gonna burn more body fat. But if you do it a few times a day with shorter bouts, it's going to help your endocrine system too. So, if somebody had diabetes or problems with their insulin, that might be even more helpful for ultimate weight management success.
Right.
Yeah. So, eat all the above. I mean, just exercise. Just exercise and do as much as you can. And if it starts with 10 minutes, then great. That's a start. And then just build on it from there. You don't have to sit down and do 2 hours at one time. For a lot of people, it's going to be just fine to do 2 or 3 segments of 10 to 30 minutes.
Right.
Absolutely. And research shows that recovery, flexibility, those are all things that really play important parts to performance enhancement adaptation specifically. But I think if you step back and look at all the different things that we have available to us with exercise and training, I think it's important to use those elements, but design a periodic plan throughout the year where there's a reason why you're doing it. So, talking about nutrition to fuel it, what are we fueling? We're fueling high-powered efforts when we're driving ourselves up a hill. We're, dealing with tactical efforts as we're descending and cornering. Endurance parts where it's sustained for 20 minutes or longer, and there's a mix. So I think trying to segment the training plan and figuring out specific targets and building on it, it makes it a puzzle that you can always change but always rely on, instead of making the same old running, jumping, everything kind of annihilating workout. I feel great, I killed myself. Let's remember what it felt like to be real fresh and sharp.
Yeah, you can actually do some other work throughout the day.
Right. Well, the recovery ride, I think, is a specific application of that, where you're not crushing yourself, but you're getting, health benefit and performance benefit. But you're taking the pressure cooker off to kind of let the body breathe.
So I guess now if you're you're starting out and you want to put together a fitness and diet routine, and you're trying to evaluate where you're at and where you want to go, what are some of the things that you should kind of look at?
Well, first I would start with, do you have any major factors? Do you have heart disease? Do you have diabetes? Do you have anything that needs to be addressed first? Go see your doctor, of course.
Yes.
Put that little plug in there.
Yeah, no kidding.
And have a initial goal. Have one goal. Do you really want to lose weight? Do you really want to start with exercise and get some endurance built up first? What's your plan? Do you want to fit into a certain size by a certain date? And then we can build on that. And I also think it's also important to look at what's the major area that you can have the most improvement on. Often it's nutrition or it's exercise. You start with one and you build on that.
That makes sense. I guess. What about let me ask you this. If you're putting together a program, is it important to look at how motivated you are to make changes in your lifestyle?
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Sure.
Absolutely. I mean, motivation drives everything that we do, and sometimes you're just motivated to do one thing that day to make a change. And how do you get more motivation? Can you surround yourself with people that can help you get to your goals? If that's a friend to go on a bike ride with, if that's watching this video, if that's talking to your doctor, if that's getting the support of a trainer or dietitian. Where are you with motivation, or I like to call it like willingness to change? Where are you with your willingness to change?
Right.
And sometimes your motivation is a health consequence, like we just talked about, or you just want to feel better. You just want to get up and get something done in the day without hurting, or you want to sleep better.
Yeah, I want to focus on this stretch of the road here. We're starting our one climb, and I want to get everybody up in that big ring up front. We're at a 6 out of 10, and our perceived exertion is a 6 out of 10. So we're feeling this hill here, and then add some resistance, 7 out of 10. You can get the heart rate up to the mid 80s. Keeping that cadence about 70 RPM. Feeling the hill here. We got a little carrot off in the front to the right. I'm gonna catch him and pass him. He's been kind of going back and forth between the group, passing us, slowing down, passing us. So we're just gonna make a pass here and make it look okay.
On your left.
Yeah, on your left. Coming past you. Pushing those pedals down. We're feeling the hill. Heart rate's at 85%. RPE is 7 out of 10. We're getting tired. The top of the hill, we can see it. And we're going to take a break at the top. Well, it's not actually quite the top, but we're getting there. Keep that pressure on the legs. 8 out of 10 on RPE. Well, back to 6. So, just feeling the hill. Cadence about 70, 80. whatever you can maintain. I want you to just feel the weight of the hill on your legs. Enjoy the view. And here's our rest. So go ahead and pop it into your easiest gear and slowly spin it and rest.
How to use the dash. The dashboard is composed of a number of different tools that provide data which allow you to emulate the physical demands of the ride. The first and most important tool on the dash is the effort meter. The effort meter provides a graphical representation of how hard you should be working during a specific part of the ride. In this video, we're ascending a small climb while trying to keep a good pace for other riders behind us. Watch how the effort increases as we continue to ascend. The effort meter is color-coded to help you quickly know what zone you should be training in, be it the weight loss zone, aerobic zone, anaerobic zone, or red zone. Each zone is based on a percentage of your maximum effort. Blue, which is below 70%, is your weight loss zone. Green, between 70 to 79% of max, is your aerobic zone. Yellow, between 80 to 89% of max, is your anaerobic zone. And red, from 90 to 100% of max, is your red zone. Be aware that the difficulty of each video is greatly dependent on the time spent in each zone. At the top of the effort meter is your heart rate goal displayed as a percentage of your max. Percent of max is calculated as your actual heart rate divided by your max. This value can be used to challenge yourself further by teaching your body how to precisely regulate efforts. Some heart rate monitors allow you to input your max heart rate and then automatically calculate your percentage of max. The gear ratio and resistance indicator provides you with two ways to determine what gear or what resistance you should be working at. The gear ratio is the best way to make changes in resistance if you're on your bike and trainer. With shifters, you can quickly make changes to gearing to simulate changes in pedaling effort. This animation provides an idea of how the gear ratio works. Notice how above the blue line, the numbers are ascending from 1 to 10. This corresponds to the gear that's in your rear cassette. Below the blue line are the two rings in the front, 42 being the small ring, 52 being the large. The resistance value is a tool to be used if you're on a spin bike. Most spinners are comfortable with a 1 to 10 scale used in classes. Basically, a 1 is a soft pedaling, easy spin resistance, whereas a 10 is a slow, leg-churning, difficult grind where you have to force the crank arms to turn. The cadence value allows you to identify what your pedaling cadence should be. While the cadence, resistance, and heart rate indicators attempt to synchronize, often it's difficult to match everything at the same time. Start out using either cadence or resistance while matching the effort goals. Much like the effort tool, the power tool provides a graphical representation of how much power the cyclist is producing during a given time. The power tool is a nice alternative or backup to the resistance and gear ratio tools. The power tool is a much more accurate way to identify sudden changes in power. At the top of this tool is a number that reflects a percentage of maximum power. What is maximum power, you might ask? This is a little bit more tricky. Unlike max heart rate, your max power is a minimum average over a given time interval. For example, suppose you're sprinting for the finish line. The competition is fierce, and you're out of the saddle hustling for all you're worth. You cross the finish 30 seconds after you begin your sprint and then rest. Now, suppose you're looking at the power profile for this effort. You might discover that the first 5 seconds you're generating about 800 watts. During the next 5 seconds, you're generating 750 watts. And then after that, 700 watts, and so on. As you get tired, your power slowly tapers off. Finding your max power over 30 seconds is simply an average power output over that 30-second interval. This is a much more accurate means of finding your max than trying to find an instantaneous max power output. Your percentage of max is calculated by dividing your current power output by your max. Most power computers can automatically generate the percentage of max value for you. The dashboard has 3 graphs. These are a really cool way to find out where you're located along the timeline of the ride. The graphs are divided by a bar, showing you where you're located along them. The top graph displays a hill profile. The middle graph displays the effort profile, and the bottom displays the power profile. Keeping your eyes on these are a great way to identify changes as they approach. The moving map provides some nice information about where you're cycling. Roads, topography, landmarks, rivers, lakes, and more can be identified so you don't feel lost on the ride. Also note, north is always up. I'm done. Have a great workout.